everyone and welcome to my book adaptations I'm excited for video. Netflix Geek Week happened a couple of weeks ago now, and they dropped a whole load of trailers, including a few trailers for book adaptations that they're doing, and that also inspired me to look up other books that are also being adapted. So what I thought I'd do is actually tell you some of the ones I am most excited for that are coming out maybe this year, next year, or at some point in the future. So let's get into it. And before we start, I'm just going to get one thing out of the way, and that is that I'm not going to mention any Marvel adaptations here because we know I'm excited for them, and if I started talking about them I'd be here all day. But as a quick short list, Thor Love and Thunder, cannot wait to see that one. That's based on Jason Aaron's run, very excited. She-Hulk, I'm not entirely sure which story they're adapting there, but either way very excited for it. Miss Marvel is proving to be amazing and a brilliant adaptation of G. Willow Wilson's series. There's several scenes that are taken straight from that comic straight into that TV show. It's amazing. Wakanda Forever, very excited for. Obviously Secret Invasion, What If Series 2, Marvel Zombies, the list goes on and on and on and on. So moving on to the actual list. First one has to be The School for Good and Evil. I am so excited for this, despite the fact that I've never actually read the book, and mainly because I'm just here for any film with Charlize Theron in it. And this one's got Charlize Theron in it. I can't remember who she's playing. I think she's one of the teachers. But this is sort of like a fairy tale-esque type idea where these two girls have heard about the School for Good and Evil. And the one who thought she was going to the good side ends up going to the bad side, if I remember rightly. And the one who thought she was going to the bad side is actually going to the good side, if I remember rightly. It's something like that. The trailer does look amazing, and I will be reading the book when the film actually comes out. But at the moment, I'm just so excited for all of this. It sounds amazing, and I am literally just here for any Charlize Theron thing ever. And actually, speaking of Charlize Theron, I've also got to mention The Old Guard Volume 2, because this is also coming. We know that they are in production right now for filming this. I am so excited. I love the first Old Guard movie. It was amazing. It was practically word for word adapted from the comic, so I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with this second movie. The first one ended on such like a cool ending with so many things that they could do now with like characters appearing and like where it's left all the characters, so I cannot wait to see where they're going to go with this second movie. I cannot wait, and I also can't wait to read that graphic novel as well, because I've been saving it for when the sequel comes out. Not gonna lie, either way, so excited for this. I love like The Old Guard. I love Charlize Theron. I cannot wait to see her badass boss it all over again in another Old Guard movie. The first one was so good. I cannot wait for the sequel. I also have Lockwood & Co. This one doesn't even have a trailer yet, and I again haven't read the book yet. I'm literally saving it for when the film comes out, but I just know that this one is a book series that gets recommended whenever you search for books like Skullduggery Pleasant, and seeing as Skullduggery Pleasant is currently over for the time being, I need a replacement, or at least something to sort of fill that gap, and I think maybe Lockwood & Co. will work. It's sort of like a sort of supernatural detective agency kind of thing, and I'm just here for that. And also the film has been co-written by the guy who co-wrote Ant-Man, which is Joe Cornish, and I love Ant-Man, so I am definitely here for this. I definitely trust this because I loved Ant-Man so much, and I'm just here for more spooky TV shows, films, all of that kind of stuff, and I just think this sounds really good and really interesting, and it's all about ghosts and detective agencies and all of that good stuff, and I am just here for that. There's also The Amazing Maurice and Its Educated Rodents. This is by Terry Pratchett, and I'm obviously always here for any Terry Pratchett adaptation going. This one's actually inspired by The Pied Piper. I don't really know much else about it. I just went Terry Pratchett adaptation. I'm here for it. Unless we're talking about the City Watch like TV show. No, not that one, but anything else I'm here for, especially considering I think this one's been made by Narrativia, which is the production company who has handled a lot of Discworld adaptations, and I trust those ones because I love like The Hogfather and things like this. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I genuinely really love those adaptations, so I'm very much trusting this. Also Hugh Laurie, and if I remember rightly, David Tennant are some of the voice cast for this, and I'm just I love David Tennant. I'm a massive David Tennant fan, so I'm always here for that. And I also grew up watching House, and Hugh Laurie is also an amazing actor, so I'm definitely really excited for this. I think this one comes out at Christmas. I've just realised I haven't actually said when half of these are releasing. To be honest, I don't know, because there was no air date further than coming soon. So I will tell you if there's any sort of actual air date for these, but at the moment none of these have air dates. They're just coming soon or around the holidays, so that's all I really know. We also have Bitter Root, which is a family of monster hunters in 1920s Harlem. How awesome does that sound? That just sounds epic, and I'm so here for this. This is actually based on a graphic novel. We don't have a cast or anything yet because it hasn't been announced yet. I just know that this is sort of in the works somewhere, and I am ridiculously excited because I'm always here for more shows about monster hunters, because I currently don't have one further than First Kill, because like Supernatural ended and I stopped watching it a while ago. Lucifer's not on anymore, even though that wasn't monster hunting, but it still had like demons and devils and angels and all the rest of it, and I just need another show that's like supernatural like that, and I think this one's going to do it for me, and I cannot wait for it to come out eventually. I have no idea when it's coming, but I am definitely excited for it. There is also Paper Girls, which comes out in July on the 27th, if I remember rightly. And this is sort of like a Stranger Things thing set in the 80s, but with a bunch of girls instead. And they end up being like traveling through time, essentially. And I love this graphic novel series. I have loved it since I started reading it at the beginning of this year, end of last year, if I remember rightly. It's such a good series, and I cannot wait to see this adaptation, because the comic itself is so much fun. It feels very Stranger Things because you do get that 80s vibe, and you've got all of these kids together and they're trying to like solve what's happening and trying to stop all of like whatever's happening, like the end of the world, if I remember rightly. There's obviously time travel, there's a lot of like talk about like friendship, things like this. There's a lot of like conflict in there as well. It's really interesting. The future sounds really scary in this one as well, and I'm just really excited to see how this adaptation works. I'm very excited for it. It looks really good from what we've seen so far, and I cannot wait. Not to mention The Sandman, which comes out on August 5th. This is the adaptation for Netflix on obviously the Sandman comics by Neil Gaiman, and I am so excited. The trailer looks amazing, and I cannot wait. I love this graphic novel series. It does confuse me a lot because it's very complicated and very weird, but I am so excited to see it on the big screen. I'm so excited. The cast is stacked. You've got like Tom Sturridge, you've got Charles Dance's in it, Stephen Fry's in it, you've got so many other amazing actors who are popping up all over the place. David Thewlis is also in it playing John Dee, which is so exciting. You've got Mark Hamill is voicing Merv Pumpkinhead, which is great. I've also seen as well with the casting, there's a lot more of like LGBTQI plus actors in here, including at least one non-binary actor who is playing Desire. You've also got a few people as well who've been like gender swapped, so there's more female characters in the show compared to the comic, which is great. They've also done a lot more casting of people of colour as well in this as well, so you've got a few more actors of colour playing characters in this as well who are like main characters, so which is obviously an improvement on the comics, which were very white in a lot of places, so I'm very excited for that as well. I'm just so excited. And we've even got like Jenna Coleman playing Joanna Constantine. I'm just here for this. I do not like DC comics. I do not do DC comics, but Sandman is the exception. I love it. I love Sandman, and I am so excited to watch this. I haven't mentioned what the Sandman is about. It's essentially about the Endless, who are not to be confused with the Eternals. The Endless are basically a whole bunch of immortal beings. You've got Dream, you've got Death, you've got Desire, Delirium, and several others. I've forgotten the names of all of them, to be fair, and you're mostly following Dream after he's been trapped in sort of like by a cult, essentially, for the last like 200 years, and now he's basically going around trying to save his dream realm, things like this. We also meet Lucifer in the series as well, who's going to be played by Gwendolyn Christie. not Tom Ellis, so that's going to be a bit of a shock to me because I am obviously a Lucifer fan, which was based off of Sandman. But either way, so excited to see where this one goes, so excited to reread the comics and also listen to the audiobook version, which includes James McAvoy, Michael Sheen and David Tennant, which is, oh, and Kat Dennings and Taron Egerton, if I remember rightly, and a whole load of other people as well. So I'm just going to be basically mainlining the Sandman in August, so if you want to see some content about that, please do let me know down below, because I could definitely do some Sandman content like I did for Good Omens. So if you do want that, please do let me know. It will probably end up rambling like this is, but never mind. And then finally there is also A Kind of Spark. This one I've just found out about. Elle McNichol is working on the TV series of the adaptation of A Kind of Spark, which is an own voices by Elle McNichol autistic story about a young girl who is trying to get a plaque in her town to basically say sorry and commemorate the witches who were burned at the stake during the witch trials. And this book is so good, it's so close to my heart in a lot of places. I cannot wait to see what this, like, how this one goes. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm now an Elle McNichol, like, fan totally. Like, she's one of my favourite authors now after like 2 books, so I cannot wait to see how this TV show goes as well, because obviously she's got a main part in this one. She's really working on it with everybody else who's involved, so that's just amazing. I am just like, I'm sure it's going to work out really, really well, and it's not going to be like ableist because she's like very much involved in it, all the rest of it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I literally just read this book and I'm now so excited to see it adapted. I definitely read it at the right time. I cannot wait to see it on either the small screen, the big screen. I think it's a small screen, I think it's a TV show. Either way, so excited. And that's all of the books that I'm really excited to see adapted, but this list is a bit white. So what I thought I'd do at the end here is shout out a couple of books by authors of colour who I really want to see adapted. The first one is obviously Amari and the Night Brothers. I love this one. It was so like supernatural Men in Black vibes. There was so much going on in it. The plot twists and everything else were brilliant. The world building was amazing in it as well. I mean, I don't have to tell you about Amari and the Night Brothers. Everyone's read it, but essentially it's sort of like supernatural Men in Black type vibes, and I really want this adapted. I reckon it could be a really, really magical TV show, especially if it was like an animated one or something. I think they can really, really go for it and it would look amazing. I'd love to see it adapted. And then finally I have to mention a short story from Vampires Never Get Old, and that is the, if you give me a second, if I can get the full name up from the list, it is the guidebook for newly sired Desi vampires, and this was hilarious. It was so funny. I know I've mentioned it in my mid-month wrap-up, but it was a really, really good fun story in the sense that you are literally in like this guidebook for newly sired Desi vampires, and you've got some really funny lines in there like, so who do I eat? Your colonizer. I found all that kind of stuff really, really funny throughout it, and I think it would make an amazing like TV series or something, especially if you were following like a newly sired Desi vampire and they're reading this guidebook and trying to find the people who made this guidebook and trying to deal with being a newly sired vampire, or if we're following like the team who created the guidebook or something. I think it would be absolutely incredible. And I mean, we've now got First Kill from this book now out on Netflix, which you should definitely go watch. It is cheesy, but it's still so good. It is properly like Vampire Diaries kind of vibes, essentially. It was amazing. Go check it out. But I mean, if we've had one short story from this adapted, why not others? And definitely Guidebook to the Newly Sired Desi Vampire needs an adaptation. I mean, even if you can't get like a full adaptation, I mean, like an audiobook or something will work perfectly as well. It's just needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me which book you're really excited to see adapted. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a camera related emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, as well as to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which sells bookish merch and bookish bullet journal stuff if you're interested in that. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here and over here with a link to my previous video. But until next time, everyone, bye!